Welcome back to the Mission 43 podcast. I'm not saying we're the best podcast ever, but we wake up earlier than Jocko, and Joe Rogan calls us for tips.
We're talking Leaders Fellowship Forward, so what Leaders Fellows did after they finished the program. We're sitting down with Don Hunter and Jason Thomas.
Join us in learning about the stories and the people who inspire us. This is the Mission 43 podcast. I'm Dan Nelson.
And I'm Brian Madden. Idaho is our home. The military is what we did.
All right, Mission 43 podcast. Welcome back, everybody. We have two amazing Mission 43 members and also Mission 43 Leaders Fellows from the first cohort, the best cohort, our cohort, obviously. Just kidding. Don Hunter and Jason Thomas. Thanks for being here, guys.
Thanks.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
Our pleasure.
Well, so jump right in. What do you do, Don?
I actually am a specialist at St. Luke's in their breast care imaging area. I take care of their quality control and do breast care biopsies. So a lot of health care in my background.
One of our previous guests was Trill Pollen, and she does, breast milk stuff. So we had a competition on how many times can one podcast feature the word breast. So you're off to a good start. I think I've heard it 5 times, but
Okay.
Either way, we're good.
We'll work it in there.
You're also a mom.
I'm also a mom. I've got 2 teenage kids, and I'm also going to school. I'm working on my MBA right now at Boise State, and I just have a pretty active life. My husband has recently been activated. His name is Major Sean Hunter, and he's working with the COVID response team here in Idaho to get the vaccine pushed out. So we've got kind of a busy life at the moment.
I would say so. It's definitely a busy time. You've been absolutely instrumental for, this takeoff movement of the Leaders Fellowship at Mission 43. Just being such a powerful presence, and now it's really cool to see a lot of the females from both cohort 1 and cohort 2 of the Leaders Fellowship coming together. Didn't you guys just have a brunch or something?
We did. Yep. We had a ladies fellowship brunch the other day, and it was fantastic. It's definitely something we're going to continue doing.
It's pretty cool to see the power players, and I know my wife is really jealous and wants to break into that circle. I told her she has to apply for the fellowship first. But
You're going to make her apply?
Yeah.
Whole process?
And Jason, how about you? What's your background and what do you do now?
So background, grew up in eastern Idaho, so Idaho native, small town, Rigby, Idaho.
Oh, Rigby.
Yep. I did work at a potato factory growing up as a teenager. So
The real Idaho experience.
real Idaho. Came to Boise after I graduated high school and worked a couple different jobs, construction, worked at Micron, then joined the Idaho Air National Guard. Been with the Idaho Air National Guard for 18-ish years in maintenance and now with the medical group. And full-time wise, now I'm with Amazon as an operations manager currently in California.
Awesome. And so how did you get connected with Amazon? What kind of made you head that route?
Had a couple of different opportunities, but connected with Amazon, just got in touch with a recruiter and their military recruiting team. So got in touch with them and had just finished up my MBA with Boise State, so set myself up for a good launch point to a new career.
You were an educator before that, right?
Yes.
You switched fields
Yep.
quite a bit.
So, did a little bit of college teaching at College of Western Idaho in their program there. And, so done a little bit of different things. Did an internship with Zions Bank, a military internship too. So, kind of dabbling in a lot of different sectors to kind of find my home.
Where did the Leaders Fellowship fall into that timeline for you? Because you were a teacher when we went through together, right?
Yes. Yeah. So working with basic skills education, College of Western Idaho at the same time of applying for the cohort as well. So, and doing my MBA at that same time. So it jumped all 3 of those kind of right in together.
Yeah.
What drew you to applying to the fellowship?
I think the biggest thing was just knowing there would be other leaders out there, really expanding my own leadership knowledge, but also connection-wise too. Like, who is it that I can get to know? I know there's a really great pool of people within the Mission 43 organization, so networking was definitely a big portion of that.
Awesome. How about you, Don? What were you thinking?
Well, I was thinking they're going to go on this awesome hiking trip into the Sawtooth Mountains, and I don't do that kind of stuff. But I was like, I think I could do it. I think I could. But then I was actually talking with you when we were up at Bogus for a Mission 43 event, and you were like, hey, have you looked at this? And I was like, no, I haven't. And then I went home and I jumped online, learned a little bit more about it. And I was like, yeah, like I would like to expand my leadership skills and be able to give back as well. And I'm going to apply and we'll see what happens. And at the same time, I was starting my MBA program. They literally started like 1 month apart from each other. So I was a little nervous. Would I be able to do it all? And you can totally pull it off. Like anybody who's thinking like, oh, I don't need one more thing on my plate. No, this is what you need on your plate.
That's interesting. So the hike, which is 20 miles, and the Sawtooth, a loop. So you had never done anything like that before?
Nope. Not at all.
You could have fooled all of us, by the way. You could
No.
have fooled
Well,
all
thank
of
you.
us. You came ready.
In our group, I think I was the only spouse, and I kind of felt like, man, I need to like do this and represent for the spouses, or they're never going to let us do this stuff again. So actually, when we got our packs, I loaded up my pack and I started hiking around the neighborhood.
Yeah, smart.
For
awesome.
6 miles, just to make sure. And I was like, well, if I could do it on somewhat flat terrain, we'll have to take it up a notch when we get up there. But I was like, I'm going to do it. And honestly, like it pushed me to do something that I hadn't done before.
Were you intimidated?
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
What did you first think? Well, so before you even applied, you knew that was a part of it?
Uh-huh.
Okay, because we had some people that did not know and freaked out a little bit.
I
remember
do
when
recall that
Yeah.
during one of our first sessions.
there was a really wide breadth, like in our cohort, what we had 19, I think, 18 maybe. And when that announcement was made, like, hey, this is what we're going to do, it was interesting to me because, I mean, everyone has different backgrounds, but walking with like weight on the back for some people is really not a big deal. That's how some people spent their military career, or their hobby was backpacking or whatever. And there's other people, like I had no idea that you'd never done something like that.
Yeah.
Because
No.
you held it together pretty well. And then I also didn't know that in like the Air Force and the Navy and that you guys don't ruck, like ever.
No.
I think we were talking about it. I think it was you and Natalie Newell, who was Navy.
She was Navy, and
Yeah,
she was
and I was like, yeah,
how do you spell ruck? No.
right. And I'm like, you guys didn't have to do this? And you're like, nope. I'm like, not even like your basic training? And they're like, nope. I'm like, wow. Well, I did not appreciate that until like actually hearing from people. They're like, this is the first time I've moved with weight on my back, and I'm doing it for 3 days straight. It's pretty cool.
So what did you think about that experience? What was your takeaway from it?
Oh, it was a phenomenal experience. I mean, the folks that I got to meet and just the way it was all kind of laid out in the direction that we went, and we would stop at times, like you could really take in the natural aspects of it, which, I mean, it's Idaho. It's incredible. But then to meet other people that you know nothing about, and you're going to be with them for 3 days. And next thing you know, you just start chatting about some things, and actually lucked out as I was hiking and walking. I ended up meeting our friend Joe, not realizing that he had a connection with St. Luke's, and we started bouncing around some ideas, and we just kind of expanded to some other things that we were like, hey, we could probably do some really great things for our community with your background and my background. And just coming out of that trip, I don't know that ever would have happened. But it literally was. We had like 2 hours that we were hiking down the hill, that we were just kind of going back and forth with different ideas on different things. And it was great. It was really fun.
Well, you're really humble, but like you just got a promotion, right, at St. Luke's.
I recently did.
Congratulations.
Yes. Thank you very
Congrats.
much.
You're running like all the mammography stuff statewide for St. Luke's, right?
I'm not running it all, but I'm helping with the quality control aspect of it for all of our breast care centers. And, you know, we want to offer the best for the women here in Idaho, and that's part of my mission as well. And so me and St. Luke's, we have the same goals in mind. So it's been really good. But I will say, from the leadership aspect, there's definitely roles of my job that I've been able to pull things from this cohort and really implement. We sat there and learned about it, or I read about it, and I could go to work the next day and try and implement it. And that's really been pretty cool, because you don't always have experiences like that you can lead right in the next day with what you've learned.
But it takes some commitment, though. Like, you were the one that had to apply. You actually had to do these things. It's not
True.
It's not just being exposed to it and learning through osmosis, having it smashed against you. But, well, your family is not originally from Idaho, right?
No. We relocated from Valparaiso, Indiana, about 5 years ago.
Good call.
Yeah.
What brought you here?
It was actually Boise State. My husband and I, a couple of months prior, just came out here to visit. We visited a couple cities out west that we were looking at possibly relocating to, and then all of a sudden a position became available at Boise State. They were looking for somebody with an education background and a military background, and that fit what my husband had qualifications for. And he came out here and interviewed, and he said, this place is just as great as it was when we visited. Like, I think we should do this. I was like, okay, let's do it. Let's put the house up for sale. Let's get the kids out of school. We're heading west.
That's a bold move.
And we knew no one here at all. Like, literally, when I had to sign my kids up at school and they said, who's your emergency contact? I didn't have one. Like, that had never happened to me before. I was like, I don't have a family member. I don't have any friends. So you're either going to have to call me and my husband, and that's it. But that changed pretty quickly. Once we got out here, it was probably within the first 2 weeks, somebody had reached out to us, I believe through Hired Heroes, and said, hey, we're going to get a bunch of people together. And then during that time, we met people from Mission 43. And next thing you know, my husband and I both were like, this is an incredible community. Like, we've never been immersed in a group like this before. And it just that was the beginning, and we've just been running with it ever since.
I remember how we first met you. I think you attended one of the early Hire Heroes USA employment workshops.
I did.
And then I remember a portion of it was like in updating your LinkedIn profile, and you were doing it in the class. And while you were sitting there, started getting hits on your profile. And I think that eventually led to you getting hired at St. Luke's.
Yeah, it was really crazy. As I was in the workshop, uploading stuff onto LinkedIn, all of a sudden I saw these folks coming across and looking at my profile, and I was like, oh, I'm pretty sure that person has something to do with this job that I just saw that popped up that I'm going to apply for at St. Luke's. And it was crazy. I literally raised my hand in the class, and I was like, so does this happen often? Because no. I'm not I'm going with it, but I just thought you should know this stuff is working.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah. All I get offered jobs at LinkedIn all the time with my profile is opportunities to do lifeguarding at the Y and stuff, which is not bad, but I think I haven't done that since I was a teenager. That's awesome. Yeah, you're a different level of experience to do that.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy.
That was cool to see, though. You kind of stepping out and showing up at the workshop. I remember you're nervous about it.
Yeah,
but look what it led to. And now you're recently promoted at St. Luke's, running 9 clinics. So that's impressive. Congrats.
Yeah, it was. And my husband pretty much said, you need to sign up for this workshop. And I was like, no, I think that's for other military folks. And he was like, no, I think you're just signed up. There you go. You're going. And I was like, okay, I guess I'm going. And I got in there, and it was a fantastic experience. I mean, everybody, it was super fun and super helpful. And even now, I have other people coming to me when they are looking to expand in their job. And I'm like, okay, we got to set up your LinkedIn profile. You got to get rid of some of this generic stuff. They're really going to look at this stuff. And I didn't realize that before I took the workshop.
As a military spouse, was there a barrier? Were you used to opportunities hire, our employment side of Mission 43, Hire Heroes USA? Were you used to those being available to you? Or
no?
We do struggle with that messaging. It's the spouses are not used to these services being for them.
No, we're not used to that at all. It's usually your military folks, and then you got the spouses over there.
Yeah.
And we're more well, you just support things on the home front.
Yeah.
Just keep doing that. So, yeah, I was a bit nervous coming in thinking okay, all these people in here are badasses, and they've been through real stuff. And I'm I'm just one of the home front people keeping it going.
You guys are the badasses.
But
my wife and I always joke, you go to a game, they're all the veterans stand up and clap, and it's we always joke you stay seated please while I get my my clapping, but it's really it should be the exact opposite.
Yeah, it was a decision both my husband and I made. Like, he joined after 9/11.
Yep.
And he was like, look, this is something I really think I need to do. And it was a decision we made together pretty much as a family. Like, okay, we're going to do this. Like, we're all in. And it's been a good thing. I mean, it's had its ups and downs, as we all know.
Oh,
and
yeah.
deployments are rough, and it's hard with kids and stuff.
Yeah.
But
way harder to be the spouse that's home. I'm 100% like, deploying is not that hard. You know what I mean? Like, you go over and then you're immersed in it, so that is your world. But being back here and then always having that uncertainty about your loved one someplace in the world that's seems so far off, and dealing with kids and just real life stuff, it's like really challenging for me now to come back and learn how to adult. You know what I mean? Because you miss that opportunity a lot of times.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Well done. We're
Thank you.
impressed.
Thank
We
you.
are impressed.
Thanks.
Is your family native Idahoans as well?
My immediate family, yes. My wife, Jessica, she is Hawaii. So she grew up in Hawaii, came
nice.
to Idaho, went to Boise State, graduated Boise State, and then joined the Guard, Air National Guard as well. So
So
she's
you are a
from
military spouse as well.
Hawaii. Yes, military spouse as well.
That's cool, man. Has she been to any Mission 43 things?
No, she hasn't been to too many. So
Right on. And
we've been to a couple together, but not a ton.
well, how has the experience of Mission 43, well, if at all, like, affected your family?
The Mission 43, and specifically the cohort, one of the things that I was going to touch on is just the different leadership lessons, the different communication methods, like that translate to your professional life, but also to your personal life too. So I've really brought some of those lessons to my relationship with my spouse, my son, on how I can be a better communicator, what I can do better time management wise. So it's really helped in a lot of those ways on the home front for sure.
How old is your son?
My son now is 21, so
Oh, wow.
he's up there, up on his own.
Oh, well, you're at a point where you can actually communicate with him.
Yes.
And he can,
Well,
like-
I mean,
I don't know. It seems I have a 3 and 5 year old, so like me waxing poetic about leadership, they're like, okay, want to play Ninja Turtles? I'm like, yeah, kind of now.
yeah, no, we're good. He's a good kid running around Boise, but yeah,
That's cool.
definitely helpful.
How about professionally? How did the Leaders Fellowship impact you through your career?
So I think if I could pick one of the biggest impacts would be I was doing my MBA during the cohort, working. So it was a lot of stress, a lot on my plate. I know Don mentioned, hey, if you think you can't put one more thing on your plate, do it. I would echo that statement. But what the fellowship really did is it gave you a support network. It gave you, everyone was a cheerleader for your success. Whenever I showed up for a cohort event, it was, hey, what are you doing? What do you need help with? We're here to help you. So everyone was really bought into the group, but also each individual's success. So that was probably the number one thing that I got from the cohort, was just really that support behind me, knowing I can do it. That positive energy meant the world of difference.
The energy of it or whatever.
Yeah.
For me, I was really intimidated, honestly, because there's folks like you. Like, I was just right at the transition point, and like, you're rocking like your career, your family. You're like, at the time you were an educator, you were in an MBA program, and I was like, what the hell am I gonna do? Like, what do I have to offer? And I had no idea what the next chapter was gonna be. And it was pretty cool to feel that energy of all these other veterans and military spouses together that maybe didn't have all the answers, and everyone's at different points in their personal and professional lives, but they're like, yep, like, I'm going forward in the positive direction. And that's something that you don't always feel in like in a community like that, but it was certainly helpful to me. And just like, holy dude, I got to get my stuff together and get moving forward. Otherwise, you folks are going to leave me in the dust.
Yeah, I think that initial kind of meeting, everyone's sizing each other up, like, hey, what's this? Do I even belong here? At least that was my thought too. Hey, do I belong here? But, through the first session and the communication, all that just got stripped away, especially with the hike, the wilderness immersion. Everything in life just got stripped away, and we had those really intimate leadership discussions, not by the lantern. We couldn't have fires, but those are really just good discussions you could really look inside yourself and find a lot of different leadership lessons to draw on for sure.
Yeah, I really liked the diversity that we had because we had folks from lots of different professions and, like you said, different parts at different stages of their life.
Yeah.
And there were things that people would share that you'd be like, I'd never looked at it that way before. Like, that's fantastic. Like, I need to like kind of pull from that. Just that was one thing I will say, that when we got done, yeah, it was like, you know what? We all learned something from somebody out here, and we were all cheering each other on. Because sometimes when they would say, just around the corner, around the corner, I don't know, is that a mile before we get around the corner? Is it 3 miles before we get around the corner? But you always had people cheering you on, and there was always good conversation.
And since then, like, you guys have been able to meet some of the current fellows, because a big part of what Mission 43 is trying to achieve is like building this network of young and upcoming leaders in the veteran community and military spouse landscape of Idaho, right? So what was it like for you guys to interact with some of the newer fellows? I think the last time for you was probably the October event.
Yeah, that was the last time.
And then yours was last month.
Last month, yeah. So interaction's great. I think the current cohort they bring a really positive attitude about being there, which is great to see. I think, just the energy they bring, they're happy to be there. They're happy to meet the old cohort and just share and be open and free. That's one thing I notice is people are just completely open, completely free with their talk, and, just great people overall, too.
Everybody's really putting themselves out there. And that's not something that you find all the time. But with this group and this new cohort, yeah, I mean, I feel like we're just like, hey, come on in. We're all going to chat. We all got some good stuff going on. And the networking aspect of it really has been phenomenal.
Yeah. And the bad stuff, too. I mean, we all share different challenges, family, professional life. So sharing some of those challenges, different ways, different perspectives on how to overcome those, because no matter where you are in life, some of life sucks, but how are you going to overcome it? How are you going to move forward? How are you going to put yourself in a better position for the next day? So sharing some of those challenges is also really beneficial as well.
Yeah.
What are some of the leadership challenges at your work they do in your current position?
I think just finding the balance. It's probably 50% people and 50% data metrics. So I have 6 managers and about 350 people under my area. So just organization would be my biggest challenge, I would say. Just finding the organization to meet all the objectives.
Are you able to do that in person right now, or how are you guys structured?
100% in person, yep. So work out of the fulfillment center, giant 1 million square foot warehouse.
Oh, man.
So what's a day-to-day, like what's happening day-to-day that you're doing in there?
Day to day, just getting the shift ready. We have all of our metrics, our volume metrics, everything's man hours. So seeing what our head count is, seeing what our projected volume is, and just monitoring that and making decisions as they come. So every day is 100% different.
Is that projected volume off of like people's orders, being processed, or what are you guys responding to?
Is it just my wife's activity on Amazon, because she can drive like 90% of that, I'm quite sure?
Probably, yeah. If you went off of wife orders, it would be, we could never meet it. So, but no, it's all dictated at a regional level. So, yeah.
So what type of facility, like what's the different type of Amazon facilities, and what role does yours play?
So fulfillment center, and there's a couple different types. So there's the robotics, which is a lot of small items. Mine is a traditional non-sort, so you're looking at medium-sized items like chairs or something like that. So yeah, just different type of items. So Amazon's getting crazy.
Yeah, getting crazy.
I don't know.
You're working you're actually commuting to California right now to work at your
live
facility?
in California. Family's still here, so I come back at least once a month to see family. So looking to eventually come back to Idaho, though.
And that's a career progression opportunity for you to come back here. And I know
yes, definitely.
How many facilities does Amazon have in Idaho?
Yeah, that'd be like what has happened here? Because I see one or two, but what's the Amazon footprint here, and where's it going
recently, last November, they opened up the robotics facility there in Nampa.
And that's one you can see off the highway.
Right off the highway. And they do have a couple smaller delivery centers, which that's where the trucks are coming from that go to your house.
So what's a robotics center doing then?
Same thing. They're just processing order shipment, fulfilling orders, basically.
So it's like basically replacing the people who would go out into the facility and grab packages or products and ship them?
The robotics just make it easier. So you're not replacing people, you're just enhancing. So actually there's more people that work at a robotics facility because it just enhances their ability. But it doesn't replace the human element for sure.
Dude, this is so foreign to me. I
I
thought the robotics thing was like where you guys shipped out the robot or like electronics, but it's not having you ship. Okay, I'm unfamiliar.
So
I was picturing like R2D2.
Do you have robotics going grabbing packages, or what's the?
They go grab essentially big giant shelves that have stuff in them, and then they'll take it to a workstation, and they grab the stuff, put it in a box, and ship it on out. So I don't work in that facility, so I'm not too detailed with it, but yeah.
Okay.
I can just imagine what that would look like just all the way to the ceiling.
And so we have two centers in Idaho. Do you know what the growth is here? What we're going to be seeing?
I don't. No, I don't.
Okay. Huh. And then how about you? What about at your work? What are like typical challenges you face?
Probably everyday challenges. A big part of my job is clinical, but part of that too is customer service with the patients I have. And being that we're in COVID times, like everybody's already at a heightened sense. And then to come into a medical environment like that, it raises people's blood pressure anyways. So people are kind of already at like a tipping point. So
the patients coming in?
Yes. Yeah. Everybody is already like feeling like I don't really want to be here, but I'm here and I'm looking at all the germs and what everybody's touching and what are you touching, and I've got my goggles on and I've got my mask on and I got my gloves on.
Yep.
But this is where we're at right now. And so that's definitely been something where you have to be a leader and you have to look at the patients who don't want to comply with a mask and they're wearing it inappropriately. You need to ask them to please put it on while you're here at St. Luke's. Yeah. And then when you leave, you can do whatever you want. But this is what our policy is. And not everybody's comfortable with doing that. But, you have to do it in the nicest way possible. And you have to set the standard for the rest of the staff so that they're comfortable doing the same thing.
Right.
Always be nice.
Always be nice. Yeah. And we've definitely had some rough times with COVID because people too, they're seeing stuff on the internet. They're hearing stuff from what's coming out from the media.
Sure.
People don't know which way to go. Am I supposed to do this? Am I supposed to do that? A lot of the women that I'm interacting with have not come in for their exams when they should have because of COVID. So we've pushed some things off. So now they're already concerned that they've pushed things off too late and now they're here and how's that going to affect their exam and their results. So, yeah.
I was going to ask you about that. So do you guys see like a dip or a drop in testing and participation during?
You know what? We had to pull back a little bit for a while there just because we can't have our waiting rooms packed full of patients.
Sure.
So we've had to stagger some things, but our diagnostic workflow never stopped. If there was any concern that we needed to get a diagnosis for someone during COVID, all those patients still kept coming in. And we just, every day we would change our policies depending on what we needed to do. But yeah, we never stopped in that respect.
That's a lot of stress.
We were the essential workers.
Right.
So a lot of times I'd be at work and then I would run home and shower. And then I would jump in front of my Zoom meeting for school because my cohort there at Boise State is supposed to be in person.
Right.
And then COVID hit and everything got shifted to online. So halfway through the semester, we had to figure out how to do this online. And we haven't been back in the classroom yet. I'm hoping maybe in the fall we'll
Right.
get to be all together again. But that was a huge shift and kind of a stressor as well. But Boise State did a really nice job of streamlining and getting the professors the tools they needed to be able to educate us in the middle of a pandemic. So I'm really hoping they put it on our diplomas.
Pandemic diploma.
Pandemic scholar. I said, let's
It's
just
gonna
make
have
a
a
little
Zoom
seal.
logo at the bottom.
Yeah, little seal, pandemic scholar. Like the world went up in flames, but we kept coming to class.
Well, you had 2 teenagers at home, and your husband Sean, who's awesome by the way,
Yeah,
and
thanks.
really instrumental for Mission 43 and developing a lot of our education initiatives
Mm-hmm.
because he works in the military education. I'm going to say the department name wrong because I always mess it up.
That's okay. He's the director of the community outreach programs,
Right.
which encompasses the military programs as well. And so, yeah.
So he was working at Boise State.
He was working at Boise
remotely.
State. Yep. Then
Kind of.
immediately got shifted home. So he started working from home. The kids started attending school online. And then I started school online as well.
The bandwidth of your house was just like,
Oh, yeah, it was insane. There were multiple calls to the internet company so
Yep.
that we could get what we needed.
I'm sure you were their first priority.
Not at all. But it was all good. Like, we figured it out, you know? It was a little touchy here and there, but everybody's doing well. Kids are doing well. They're back in school, so that's good. But yeah.
Well, really, I think one of the reasons, obviously, behind your family's success and health is your guys' unhealthy obsession with pinball. I don't think many
Yes.
people know that about the Hunter family.
Yeah, we love pinball. Like, pinball is great because anybody can play. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, we have competitions and you have toddlers that we've got little step stools. Climb up there. All you got to do is hit, watch the ball go, make it light up. But then as you get better at it, you get a little bit more competitive.
How did you get into pinball?
You know, it's crazy. My husband saw, I think it was on Craigslist, there was a pinball machine for sale. And he's like, I think I'm going to go check this thing out. And him and my son.
That sounds like a total scam. I would be totally worried about being robbed by gypsies if I was going to look at a pinball machine.
I will tell you, some of the purchases, where he's gone has kind of been a little sketchy at times. And for some reason, at least one of the kids always goes with him. It's always kind of like a turn and burn trip. Like, hey, we're going to drive over 2 states and we're going to
Oh, you're going out of area.
we're going
for
out
the
of we've drove to Wisconsin, we've drove to Montana. I think the last one was in Vegas. Him and my daughter did a day trip to Vegas.
Man, the dark underbelly of the pinball world.
They like rolled in, they looked at it, played it, everything looked good, loaded it up in the back and headed home.
So how many pinball machines do you own?
We currently have 5. Yeah.
Is there
5.
room for growth there? Or are we
I
stuck
say
at
no.
5?
I say no more room because I really don't want my living room to be full of pinball machines.
Sounds like there's an arcade machine.
They're in the living room right now?
At one time we did have one in the living room as we were making some adjustments, but it's just fun and like anybody can do it.
That's cool.
Like the pinball community, kind of like Mission 43, like, you know what? You got a good spirit. You root for other people to do well, and it's
It's the first time we've been compared to
Yeah,
the
the
pinball,
pinball
the pinball
community.
community. Yeah.
Kind of.
I am going to delve
Feels
into
good.
that a little bit. I mean, that's interesting. But you're also not just a badass military spouse. You're also the spouse of the director of Idaho Pinball.
That's true. Yes. Yes.
So you're
that's
pinball
true.
royalty. You're the first lady of pinball in Idaho.
Well, we've got some friends that have been doing it here much longer that probably should claim that title. But yeah, we're really happy about the pinball community.
So
here
how
in
does this work? There's just weekend events and you guys go to like a bar or restaurant that has them?
And actually some events are set up in people's homes because if you have a certain amount and you have a personal collection, the group has been very generous to invite people into their homes and play. So for a while we had like a 6-month series
No
where we
way.
went to different houses each month and we would set up a competition and we would play the games that they had there.
Is there money involved in these private events?
Nothing. No, it's really. I think it's like $5 to play for like the registration, so that like you can be registered in Idaho.
Okay.
But
is it like curling though, where it's really just a drinking get together and?
There's always good food and some beverages. But again, like, it's for everybody. So the whole family goes. My kids go. They've been ranked. We've been ranked. But now I will...
In Idaho or
in
just
Idaho.
Nationally? Are you guys on the national pinball level?
I would say my son and my husband. Well, and my daughter. Yeah, me not so much. Now that I'm doing my MBA, I've kind of had to shift my focus.
Where are your priorities?
I know, right?
Any leadership takeaways from the pinball experience?
Oh, gosh. Again, probably just like with this Mission 43 Fellows Leadership, I was like, I don't really know what I'm doing, but I think this is going to be fun. I think I'm going to head in the right direction and learn something new. And I always meet somebody new at pinball. And a lot of times it might be people who are like, I don't really know how to play. And I'm like, that's okay. I didn't know how to play either. You just jump in.
You have a bit of a gift, though, of meeting the right people at the right times, and like just your LinkedIn story, how you came to Mission 43, how you jumped into moving states with your family. That's all something that I think is really unique, and oftentimes it's more frequently found in the military spouse community, just because like that kind of toughness or grit or resilience that is, I don't know, present or required. I think. Jason, how has your definition of like leadership changed over time? Like maybe through the fellowship, maybe through your work experience, maybe through having your son grow up now to be, a man.
I think one of the biggest things that I like, how I see that it's changed is when I'm younger, you think as leaders, as, these people with positions and they're higher up, and, you have to strive to become that or strive to be a leader. But if now I look at it that everyone's a leader, no matter what age, no matter what position you are, no matter where you are in life, you can be a leader. You can make a difference in other people's lives. And I think that's one of the biggest things about being a leader is making a positive difference in those you lead. And you can do that at any level, whether it be coaching YMCA basketball, doing even pinball, bringing people together, talking about life goals. So I think that's the biggest thing. Leadership isn't placed high up on a shelf. It's for everybody, and we all have the ability and capability to do it.
That's very true. Don, what do you think? Like, how throughout your life or your adult life has your definition of leadership been shaped? And
well, I agree with you here, Jason. Like, when I was in college and I thought like, oh yeah, to get to these certain levels, it's always these older folks and they've put in all this time, they've got all this knowledge, which is very true. But as you start to get into the workforce and you start seeing a lot of times leadership, it happens because there are people who are willing to put themselves out there and be leaders. And it's not necessarily a role that you're given or a position that you're given. A lot of times it happens organically. Like people gravitate towards other people because of the energy and how they lead themselves. And those people want to follow them.
Yeah.
And it's, I'm not saying that it's like effortless, because it's not effortless, but you have to put yourself out there to be a leader. And I think at any stage of the game, you can definitely do that. I think if you are doing stuff, then you're doing stuff, and that leads to other stuff. And then, like I said, your plate might be full, but there are certain things that if you just take the risk and put yourself out there, you'll be amazed at what you get back in return.
So where do you see yourself in a few years now, 3 to 5 years? You've just, have been promoted to a new position, finishing up your MBA. Like, how does Idaho benefit from all that you've accomplished?
Oh, once I finish my MBA here, I definitely, like I said, I feel like my mission and St. Luke's mission goes really well together. I'm really hoping that I get to stay at St. Luke's. But I also, when I have some more free time, I want to continue more with the volunteering within the community, because there are definitely some areas that I really want to give back to. I think with younger people as well, one area through Boise State and our church, we work with some students there. And I just feel like if we want quality leaders, then we need to invest in the young people in our state, because eventually we want them leading us in the right direction. So
100%.
That's awesome. How about you, Jason?
For me, definitely come back in 3 to 5 years, be back here in Idaho. I think a really big opportunity for Idaho is in the education realm, as far as how well we're doing in youth education and then transferring that into higher education or the trade skills. There's a huge opportunity in Idaho, so I'd definitely like to be involved in that, be a part of that. Kind of working at College of Western Idaho and their basic skills education really gave me a good insight into that and the needs that Idaho has for that area. So something I definitely have on the horizon.
So what would be your advice to people who are thinking about, becoming part of the Mission 40 Leaders Fellowship? What type of person do you think should apply?
Oh, I think somebody who's willing to put themselves out there, like really put yourself out there and do something different. If this is something you've never done before, you need to do it. You need to just sign up and you need to commit, and your mind will be blown. Like it was, I really didn't know what I was getting into when I filled out the application. But as soon as the first book came for us to read and I read it, I think it was
Lead Yourself First.
Lead Yourself First. There's still things from that book that I've incorporated into my daily life. In the mornings, I don't turn the radio on when I go to work because that's my quiet time. I just need to remember that sometimes when life gets crazy, because I just say do it. Like if you're on the edge, you'll have the time to do it. You're going to have the support to do it. And the folks that you meet are going to be people that you're going to want to hang out with for a long time.
That's really cool. What about you, Jason? What would your advice be to someone that maybe, I don't know, on the fence or intimidated like I was?
I would say to that person, just do you want to grow in life? And if the answer to that question is yes, then do it.
Man, can't thank you guys enough for taking the time out of your busy lives to be here and share your experience with us. It's just really amazing to see people like you in our membership and be able to get to know you through my experience in the same cohort with you, because you guys truly do live like the motto, lead, learn, and inspire. It's amazing. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Great to be here.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for joining us for the Mission 43 podcast. Our purpose is to provide you opportunities to lead, learn, and inspire throughout your Idaho communities.
We want to hear what you thought. Like, subscribe, or leave a comment below.